I'm a carry-on person. I like to be in and out of the airport as fast as possible. I take ridicule pride in how fast I can go through security, and I will judge you, unfortunately, for it if you take too long there.
We can travel together.
Great, perfect.
Welcome to the Fashion Stack. I'm Lisa Yamner, and today I'm here with Jessica Schinazi, the CEO of Away. Jess, welcome to the pod.
Hi, so good to see you. Thanks for having me.
We've known each other a long time.
What is it, 15 years almost, dare I say?
I don't think we're old enough for that, but I think you might actually be right. You were at Richemont.
I was at Richemont. You were at Google during those days. We met then, and then we've stayed in touch since then.
Which is crazy. I remember even speaking to your team at Dyson.
Yeah.
And having so much trouble figuring out, like, wait, this was Jess, who was at Richemont, and then at Louis Vuitton, and now she's at Dyson.
I've had a lot of fun working for those companies, yes.
Yeah, it's been amazing. Wait, okay, sorry. Before we dive in.
Tell me.
What are you wearing today?
Ooh, today, Casual Friday. I mean, the Frankie Shop and Chanel slingbacks. What about you?
Never go wrong with Frankie Shop or Chanel slingbacks. I actually am in Posse, which was a brand I discovered on Daydream.
So cute. Really?
Yeah. So head to toe, my little summer suit Posse.
I love it.
Thank you.
Wait, what have been your other recent discoveries on Daydream?
Oh, good question. Another one actually is a brand called Rue Sophie, which is another sort of like contemporary brand.
Okay.
Good classics. I bought a cool trench coat from them, kind of like an oversized trench, which I love. Let's think of another one that I also love is just from the platform Cult Mia.
Yeah.
That has a lot of different
Super
emerging
nice.
designers,
Yes.
like really cool. And then Heaven Mayhem is my new jewelry brand.
Okay, I'll check it out. Thank you. Ooh,
absolutely.
Okay, so I'm shopping ahead. Love that.
Jess, give us the Away elevator pitch for anyone like who somehow missed the suitcase that launched 1,000 influencer posts. What is it?
For the kind words. So we came into the world 10 years ago with a perfect single carry-on, with the idea of how do you build a modern luggage brand when the experience of buying luggage before Away is not truly exciting. And it's a brand that's meant to very much solve travel pain points, but also understand that travel is a reflection of style. And we've taken that idea of feature, functionality, style, and design since then that we've now evolved into a lifestyle travel brand with bags, luggage, and accessories 10 years later and counting.
I feel like that's an amazing elevator pitch. Or I guess we should call it like a jetway pitch.
I like that. But I'm so grateful for it and for entering the brand about a year and a half ago because travel is such a great category. It's a fun category. It's an emotional category. And at the end of the day, people love to travel. I love to travel. I'm sure you do as well, especially when it's for pleasure and less for business. And so you get to be surrounded by those incredible stories of where people are going. And through that, you learn about the travel pain points that they have. And that fits directly what we're trying to solve.
Yeah. And I do feel like what Away has done is that Away made luggage into something sort of more fashionable and branded and something that people were talking about. I would think like previously it was like a lot less noticeable what suitcases people have. And now
it was fully commoditized, right? But truly it is a reflection of your style and not just your style in the fashion sense, but also how you like to travel. Why do you travel? And that idea of a travel uniform, which is so interesting. It's not only the loungewear you might be wearing at the airport for a comfortable flight, but also what kind of actual luggage you want to take with you to go to Paris, to go to LA, to go on your honeymoon or a trip with your girlfriends, right? And you get to have so much fun with it, with colors and textures and collaboration. So it's been super fun.
I'm assuming as the CEO of Away, you kind of have your choice of what luggage you're taking where.
Yeah.
So tell me, like, what do you take to Paris and what do you take when you're going on vacation with your kids?
Great question. So we've launched recently a luggage called Topside, which is a front loader small trunk luggage. And I've been testing it and travel testing it for the last 6 months. The reason why I love it for business travel is because sometimes you're in a smaller hotel room, you're hopping hotels and cities day on day. And so it's a super easy travel experience and packing experience. You don't have to have the clamshell opening, which takes a lot more space. Everything is neatly packed inside. And we launched it with a packing closet that goes with it. So you just pack the closet once. I get to my hotel room, I unpack the closet, hang it, and then pack it back. And it's just great. It's truly great.
Wait,
it's just, you have to try it.
You just sold me.
You just have to try it. I'll make sure that you can try it, please. And then you can tell me everything that you think about it. For kids, when we travel as a family, my kids have their own little luggage. We've launched kids' luggage last year, and it's been so fun to see truly a real away luggage, pin size for the kids, and they're just dragging it through the airport themselves. I like to joke that they play airport at home all the time with fake little passports that they've built and their luggage, and so they do that, and it's great for their independence, and it's great because I don't have to think about it, and they're in the most fun kids' colors as well. So that's our kids setup these days.
Start them young. Make sure they're carrying their own.
Exactly.
Moms around the world appreciate that.
100%.
So thank you. Let's start back at the beginning of you, though.
Sure.
So my notes tell me you studied economics and Hispanic studies at Columbia.
I did.
That's a pretty eclectic combo. I did history and Latin American studies at Middlebury.
Very similar.
I kind of see where you were going.
Yes.
Yeah. But what did you think you were doing, and like how far away from that have you ended up, or how close?
Right before I went to college, I actually moved to New York from Europe for the last 2 years of high school. And always in my head, I was going to go back to Europe for my studies. That was the path that was decided, etc. And you get into living into Manhattan as a teenager, and suddenly you realize, wait, what am I doing here? 2 years is not enough. And so the decision to stay in the US to study and then have the privilege to stay in New York was truly, I need to experience this way more. You hear my accent today. It was way worse then as well. So there was very much behind all of that. I need to learn English better and do it that way. And so that was the decision to stay in the US. And then studying econ and languages was things that were always of interest to me. You get to talk about what's happening in the world and understand different dynamics shaping what's going on in the news cycle, etc. And then I've always had a fond place in my heart for languages. I was born in Brazil, so grew up around Portuguese, and then I studied and lived in Spain for a while, so the Spanish came on top of that. So it was really fun. I joined a luxury group right after college. Turns out there's no luxury fashion major in most US universities. So that was like the closest I could get to some of that.
Yeah, I think it's cool when I had read that about you, because I actually feel like most European education is sort of much more practical than that. Like it's a little harder to pick an area of study without really knowing like what that means. And it's such like a prescribed track. Yeah. So it feels like something you were kind of taking advantage of in the American education system.
100%. And even today when I hire early career, more in the US, more so than I think in Europe, I have an appetite to hire people who have a very, very diverse academic background. So if you've studied philosophy or history or comparative literature or more engineering and STEM, I think you're going to bring really, really interesting business perspective into it. And I think you're right. Sometimes in Europe, it's a little bit more prescribed and siloed into what you're going to school for is going to very much be linked to what you're going to end up doing in your career.
How do you advise people earlier in their career with sort of these like kind of liberal arts or those types of backgrounds? Like how do you advise them to look for jobs or even how to position their education for what they're looking to do?
I think that my perspective on that has actually evolved slightly now that AI is becoming a lot more commoditized in businesses all around, because what those educations teach you, which is curiosity, appetite for learning, appetite for thinking differently and stretching that perspective, is, I think, as relevant as ever today. 5-10 years ago, if you wanted to go into tech, truly you needed to have that background and know how to code and know how to build software and develop and do development, right? That has completely been democratized today. It is so easy to do for truly anyone, and you can start getting into just vibe coding for fun, right? In any use cases, that now I think those profiles are coming back with a level of interest that I think adds a layer that we didn't really appreciate before in business.
I like that take. I do feel like I'm constantly hearing about like the doom and gloom of AI and is it taking everybody's jobs? And it feels like what it's doing is actually like creating more room for the importance of critical
100%.
Thinking and creativity more than anything.
I think at the end of the day, when intelligence and super intelligence gets commoditized in that way, what remains is human connection. What remains is the thinking strategically together around what is it that we're building for the future in business or for much larger other topics as well.
Yeah. Good point. Okay, I keep forgetting about my notes here. You went from luxury houses like LVMH and Richemont to Amazon to Dyson before landing at Away. We were talking about this earlier. Like, what a cool and crazy career. But that sounds like there's probably been some intention behind all of that. Can you like talk me through some of that?
Yeah, and it sounds disparate, but actually when you peel the layers, not so much in the following ways, right? All of those brands, what do they have in common? They have in common an amazing product to start for, something that truly values what the product can do for you, the craftsmanship, the durability, the engineering problem solving of it all, right? That's common to all of those companies. The second thing it has often is customer obsession and the value that it puts into developing customers who grow into community and the feedback that they can give you that you feed on for the next cycle of innovation and development. And that's the third piece as well, continual, perpetual innovation and truly being pioneers in their respective fields. And this is amazing. I've so enjoyed working for all of those companies. What also has been true in those experiences is that when I've joined those companies, the timing, the moment of it was very intentional because those were always moments of deep transformation for those companies that hopefully I could help with. In my early days working for luxury houses, the transformation was around e-commerce, digital transformation. How do you get those brands to feel much more comfortable selling online to customers that they don't see directly in person in a flagship store right here in Manhattan, right? When I joined Amazon, the transformation was around how do you cement this retailer with a lot of brands as a legitimate destination retailer for them when it's not necessarily the obvious choice. And then Dyson, the story was a lot more around how do you build and cement an iconic beauty brand when you have incredible beauty appliance products, but you don't necessarily have yet the ecosystem of beauty built around it. And that takes us to Away a few years ago in which truly, arguably, you're talking about one of the most iconic DTC company of the last decade at the precipice of something much bigger, which is growth by meeting customers wherever they are that we're now tapping into through broadened distribution and also continued innovation in our product assortment. So the timing of it was probably like one of the most exciting time that I could have joined those companies at that time. And hopefully where my perspective lends itself to having, impact today as well.
As you were talking, it's funny because I obviously was there during the luxury transformation of starting e-commerce and everything.
We were having those discussions.
Yeah, but it's like, it's hard to remember that there was a time when you couldn't buy
That's right.
Cartier online.
You had to call the concierge at the very last step of the funnel online. And now it's so mainstream. And what I think also is interesting is that all of those companies have gotten really good at that. But where we are now in business, it's forcing for continual reinvention of those business models. So there's no being complacent. There's not one size fits all into the business model that worked. You have to continue invent that. And I think to some extent, what you're doing and building right now is exactly an answer to this change as well.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. And I think that's sort of like when I think about my career arc and what I've done, it's always like trying to be on the precipice of like what's next for brands 100%. When it comes to digital and how to help them. First it was how to help them sell online. And then it's how to help them tell their stories. And now it's like, how do you really lean into this technology and make it more useful for customers to discover you?
Absolutely.
And all of that. So, but yeah, even like thinking about Dyson, it's like I don't even think of Dyson without the air wrap anymore.
Right.
But when you were there, when you joined, it was a vacuum brand.
It had just launched some of the first beauty products, and since then it has massively accelerated how many products in beauty it has launched since, and those products have gone viral multiple times, and so many now new customers know Dyson first as a beauty brand, more so than its legacy history as a vacuum cleaner or environment brand.
Yeah. So how are we going to think of Away 5 years from now than we think about it today? Like, what is it that we don't even know that we're going to think
back helps to sometimes forecast in the future. And I want to ask you, the way that you traveled 10 years ago probably has changed 10 years into that as well. Where we travel, why we travel, our expectations of the things that we use to travel with us, that has changed. A very recent change that our customers are really telling you about is how AI, again, is reshaping behavior when it comes to travel planning. You're using chats to plan much more easily, to get itineraries, to get recommendations, and to help you with the product packing process as well. What do I need to bring? What's the best luggage for that kind of trip, right? So how do we take those insights and continue transforming our go-to-market and how we serve our customers? That's super top of mind. And so we continue to bring products to market that I think answer some of those new questions that did not exist a couple of years ago. And we stay super close to our community to understand how those questions continue to evolve.
So that sounds like maybe you're referencing some partnerships that you recently have launched. Are there any of those you want to tell us about?
Yes, we have launched a number of partnerships, and partnerships have been core to the Away story since day one, pretty much. But this year, we've announced a partnership with Fora, which is a luxury travel planning service, a little bit earlier this year, where we're able to get close to their client advisors who are planning those amazing custom trips and provide them access to our products and the best product recommendations for their customers as well. Why that's interesting in the era of automatic travel planning, it's interesting because the other side of it, the human side, the personalized side of travel is as important as ever before, right? If everyone is prompting the same questions on what are the top 10 coffee shops to explore in New York, frankly, I think we're all going to have very boring travel experiences. And so bringing the human back into the conversation during those moments for truly custom discovery and planning, that's interesting. And so, yes, we announced the partnership with Fora that I'm very excited about. I've also asked them to help me plan a honeymoon that I never took. So I'm looking forward to that.
Two kids later,
never happened. We're working on it. And again, it brings back the emotional piece of what travel is meant to do. I think that, and we believe at Away, that travel makes you better, and getting out of your daily life makes you more informed and allows you to change perspective. And we just released our summer campaign, which was shot in Tokyo, which offers that perspective reset, and travel allows you to change perspective.
It's cool. I feel like all those roadside travel agencies are dead, and they've been dead for a while. Yeah. Like the random Liberty Travel or something that you can just walk into. Mm-hmm. And it feels like there's been that sort of gap in the market of just okay, I guess travel agents are dead. And then we share an investor with Fora, as you did too, right? So Forerunner was an early investor, and watching Fora rise and sort of become making travel agents relevant again, 100%. I think is a really interesting moment. And then again, really interesting for Away that wants to be part of the whole experience, not just and Away is a part of the whole experience.
And you're building that ecosystem. But similar to you, why is it becoming now more upfront? It's because it's powered by technology in a smart way, right? And that, I think, is the beauty of it, on how they're serving both their client advisors and their end customers with more technology to serve needs for all travel questions.
I want to shift a little bit more to talking about Away, the brand. So Away basically invented the aesthetic of aspirational travel for a whole generation. The hard shell, the colors, the phone charger. How do you feel like you're going to stay culturally relevant once you've become iconic? I guess it's, how do you not become your grandmother's suitcase and, sort of stay cool and fresh?
First, there's something so special about being able to work for a love brand. And I mean that truly. When I say to people that I get to work for Away, the first answer I get is, I love my carry-on. I love my backpack. I love my suitcase. That in itself is a social currency that is incredible, right? And that you want to keep, cultivate, and cherish. And so when it comes to keeping relevance, for us, it's about truly the discipline of knowing what is core that we don't want to change and how do we change over time and what needs to change over time. And so what's not changing, the non-negotiables, or the fact that our industrial design is second to none. It's truly best in class. Our products, they go through over 80 tests before we bring them to market, hundreds and hundreds of hours of testing. And that is a non-negotiable, truly. Now, what's changing is the wrapper upon which we tell those stories, the partnerships that we are going to engage in, being culturally relevant by tapping into what's important to our community at that moment in time, while knowing exactly how do we stay true to ourselves.
I think I saw New York Liberty.
Yes, we've been partnering with the New York Liberty since last summer. And it's been such a fun and exciting partnership. There's a fandom that's incredible, high energy, and the values align. We're talking about performance, we're talking about movement, we're talking about cultural relevance, about community. So when you bring those two brands together and there's such overlap in the values and what we're meant to convey, I think we can make magic in those types of partnerships that can light a stadium on fire. It's so much fun.
As a female CEO leading a female-founded brand who's doing partnerships with a hot female sports team, like how do you think about sort of the role that you play as a female leader in all of this?
And I'm very grateful that I don't get to think about it a lot because I am surrounded by so many incredible women founders, women on my board, women in my leadership team every day. And that's part of Away Day One. And it's very, very important to us and to our DNA to acknowledge that founding story as well. And I am proud of the fact that Away continues to support an inclusive work environment, a place where everyone is welcome to thrive and to grow and to succeed. And on top of that, as a working mom, I strongly believe into bringing women and mothers back into the workplace after they've had children. And so we continue to put in place policies who make that a little bit easier.
That's something, I mean, we care deeply about. And, you know, we're a 35-person company. We have more women than men.
Yeah.
And we're constantly thinking about how we make it a friendlier and more working mom-friendly environment. I'm curious what some of the policies are that you guys have instituted.
One of the most critical moments when women drop out of the workforce is after they've just had a kid, after they're on maternity leave or parental leave. And so how do you facilitate that critical, pivotal moment where they come back to work? Well, a few things that we've put in place include having moms coming back, not full-time, but with full pay during those critical early months, right? It's truly able to adjust back into a new routine while still acknowledging that your personal life just massively changed and you have very demanding new little kids to take care of. And those things that maybe are a little small actually compound over time and contribute massively into the culture of also what you're trying to build at large. And I'm very proud of such policies.
Yeah, that's really important. One of the things that we just instituted is, it sounds really silly, but we weren't doing it before, is having our maternity leave is 14 weeks long. It can they can never be long enough.
That's right.
But it's, you know, right. And having actually regular check-ins with the employee who's on leave,
right.
So that it's on their personal calendar, so that they feel like they're still needed back at work. Like they're missed and they're needed, although we don't bother them at all otherwise.
Yes, and it's balance between that.
Yeah, and so that like when they're coming back, they don't feel so like wide-eyed and lost. Although, I mean, the sleeplessness of
it's hard. You've been through it. I've been through it. It's hard. It's hard, and it's important to talk about it.
Yeah, and I think it's really hard as a new mom to ask for help and to know like what's okay. Like, is it okay to need to be in the office less? You know, to work a little bit less? Is it okay to admit to being exhausted? I saw one of the new moms in our office was lugging her pump back and forth, and I kind of looked at it and I was like, wait, that was a $200 pump. Like, let me get you one.
Yeah.
Let's keep one in the office. Like, there's just no reason.
Absolutely.
And, you know, I think the smallest thing made the biggest difference for her. Like, all of a sudden, she's already carrying the milk back and forth.
And it's another thing that you have to think about that now you can help with, right? Similar at Away, we have a policy in which actually we like to be in person. We are mostly an in-person, in-office company. However, our primary caregivers have the flexibility to take the time that they need to work from home for when it's important to them, right? And so for me, it's about truly recognizing individual circumstances and acknowledging that into policies that are flexible to truly make sure that when people show up every day, they show up at their best, able to do their best work.
Yeah, it's funny. I have a controversial question that you're making me think of. What do you think is better for new moms? Like new moms, you know, post-maternity leave. And probably from like, I would say, 6 months to 2 years. Is it better for them to stay home or be in the office?
I think it's going to completely depend mom by mom. I can tell you about my own experience, which is when I just had my kids, I was itching to have spaces that were a little bit more compartmentalized. And so working at home, although with a very nice flexibility of a little bit more flexible schedule, I guess, during the day, less commute, etc., allowed me, it was hard at that time because the work mode and mom mode were like very, very much mixed together. Being in the office had a very clear beginning of the day and then end of the day. And at the end of the day, I was able to come home and just be mom. I talk to colleagues who feel completely the opposite of that. And for them, the flexibility of being able to manage their schedule with their kids around sometimes is way more important than the idea of having the beginning and the end or separate spaces to do their work. So I would argue that it depends. How do you feel about it?
I think bringing new moms back into the office is a gift to them, whether they know it or not. So maybe you're saying it your opinion might be much more politically correct than mine. Even I trust that that's what it is. But I think the truth is, I think this like concept of having kids actually have to visually see you choose work over them, which is really what happens when you're at home, right? Like when you leave, it's sort of, you're a bit out of sight, out of mind, especially when they're little. And when you leave, it's sort of like, okay, mom's at work. Yeah. So what she's doing, it's not more important than I am. She just doesn't know where I am or what I'm doing. So like, it's okay versus this real struggle of being at home and the kids having to like sort of see you shut the door like or know that you're on the other side of the door and you can't let them in because you're on a call. And I don't think any of us think that our work is more important than our kids. But you actually have to get some work done. And so like and also sometimes what's going on with the kid isn't actually that important. They just, you know, but of course like so I don't know. I sometimes feel for women who think they have the flexibility of staying at home who end up with like almost a harder choice to make.
At the end of the day, I think it's such a hard personal experience that you have to.
I think you're right. I think that's more fair.
But I mean, I'm very proud of leaving to work every day and having my daughter and my son see that mom is going to work every day. Yeah. And that I value a lot. Just like I tell them, I value that your job is to go to school every day. My job is to go to work every day, right? And I think that there is something powerful there that I do cherish. And then there's hard days where they're asking you to stay home and maybe they're off that day from school as well. And it becomes like another discussion of, you know, you have your heart is pulling a little bit and you're still going to the office. So I think it's complicated. I don't know if there's like one clear answer.
No, I think you're right. And I mean, I definitely have a strong feeling about it. And I think we all have our own experiences too that sort of like craft the way we feel about these 100%. Things. But
I will say this, for being, for the majority of my career into product company, I immensely value being together in person when you're selling physical products. We have a studio with our designers, our amazing design team in New York, and just being able to touch, build, prototype, sketch, sample, etc. is incredible. And I think it makes us such a better consumer goods company by being together in those moments.
Yeah. And by the way, as a virtual company, I also feel like being together makes us better at what we do because, to be honest, we just have more fun together. You know, the end of a meeting, whether it's tense or fine, we're not just like shutting our computer or like signing into the next meeting. We're walking out together. Agree. We're chatting quickly. We're, you know, grabbing water in the kitchen or whatever it is. And it just makes work more fun and less stilted, I feel like.
I totally agree.
I'm a big fan of it. Okay, shifting to travel life.
Yes.
You city bike to work from the Upper East Side to Soho every morning.
Sometimes, not every morning.
Let's just pretend. I mean, it's so cool.
I do that when the weather lends itself to it.
I totally get that. Or do you do it more going home or going to the office?
Going to the office.
Okay.
I love it in the morning commute. It clears my head. I love the kind of like New York people watching of the city waking up. And then I feel like I've started my day in a productive way already when I get to my desk. So I like that.
I feel like you've like fought the good fight before you even gotten to work. Exactly. You're like, if I survived that, 100%. Then I'm going to survive my day. Yes.
The trade-off is that you have to forget about having a good hair day because I do wear a helmet when I do that, which wear a helmet, kids. And it's just one of those days where you know it's okay, I'm just going to go at it. It's fine.
Judging from your hair today, I'm going to say you didn't bike to work.
I did not bike to work today.
Okay, and talk about your packing style. What does it say about you?
Ooh, my packing style. I'm a carry-on person. I like to be in and out of the airport as fast as possible. I take ridicule pride in how fast I can go through security, and I will judge you, unfortunately, for it if you take too long there.
We can travel together.
Great, perfect. Which means that my packing style is efficient. I know exactly where things are. And when it comes to what is it that I'm packing, things have to go together. I don't want to think about it too much. It needs to be effortless. I learned about that concept of Sudoku dressing recently. Are you familiar with that?
No.
So you visualize a 3x3 Sudoku grid. You put your clothes on your bed ahead of your trip, and it has to fit in any direction. And so it's great. It's 3 pants, 3 tops, 3 kind of layers. And it's exactly what I needed to make my life actually even a little bit more easy. It's great. So now that's what I do as well. And it's easy.
So no room for the French horns in your suitcase.
No room for the French horns. The exception to that is that when I travel back home to France and I need to bring back souvenirs, and by souvenirs, I mean snacks. And by snacks, I mean butter and cheese. Then I usually take another foldable bag that I pack in my suitcase and I bring back a second.
Oh, butter and cheese coming from France to the US.
The US. Yes,
okay.
Yes.
Okay. Hopefully US Customs isn't listening right now.
Shh.
Okay. Okay. Best trip you've ever taken?
Ooh, I've learned to not go so far for amazing trips. And the trip that comes to mind is Highway 1, so the Pacific Highway, with my husband before we had kids on the convertible, driving all the way from Southern California to Seattle. And you have this amazing view of the Pacific, the cliffs, etc. It's so gorgeous. And then we got to stop at little inns and motels around the way, not planning the trip in advance. It was incredible. Highly, highly recommend that trip.
Was there anywhere on that trip that surprised you?
Surprised me? No, but I didn't have expectations in that way either. I think I am still blown away by the Yosemite National Park and the redwoods over there and just like the sheer size of it all. As a French woman in the US, I will admit this. I've always had the little chip of my shoulder of Americans, they never travel anywhere. Because in Europe, you get to hop countries so easily, so often, right? But since I've been here for 20 years now in the US, I've learned that this country is just so huge that you don't need to actually travel massively outside of the US to see wild, wild landscapes. So that has been incredible. And we've enjoyed, including now with my children, discovering a lot more of the US than going to the outside of the world.
Yeah.
What about you? Any upcoming really exciting travel you look forward to?
Always. And it's funny. I was going to say that I once did the drive from San Francisco to Seattle. So we didn't start all the way in LA. And the Oregon coast really surprised me. Like it's like you hear about California coast as an East Coast girl. And then just to see that was really incredible. I am headed to Croatia this summer.
Ooh, are you doing boats or are you?
Boats.
Oh, nice.
Which I'm really looking forward to. And I'm also headed to Lake Garda.
Oh, so nice.
Yeah. So I've spent, as you probably know from all the fashion time, like lots of time in Milan, but I've never gone up to the lake region. So
Lake Garda is gorgeous. So actually my parents live in Verona now, which is about an hour away from Lake Garda. So it's the weekend destination.
Okay.
And I've had the chance to go there quite a few times and it's amazingly beautiful.
Okay.
And you have the most little amazing meal of your life on the most random corner of the street there. So it's so great.
I'm going to need your tips.
Yes.
My mom, my sister, and I are going for my mom's 80th.
I am excited
and
for you.
actually, she just got herself a new away suitcase because she was jealous of my dad's and decided she needed her own. So
that's great.
Yeah. Wait, so where are you dying to go that you haven't made it to yet? You're quite the traveler.
So that infamous honeymoon that I was mentioning, I want to do a safari. I've never done a safari before, and I would be looking forward to seeing the Big Five and then amazing beaches on the way, maybe some vineyards. So that's the plan.
What's the away suitcase for a safari?
So I would do a carry-on. I would do polycarbonate because it's light. And I think I would choose a really good backpack to go with it. And my choice probably would be our Featherlight cargo style, which fits a ton, is super light, and has a little bit of a safari vibe to it.
Okay.
Check it out. It's great.
I mean, like, talk about knowing your products. That was amazing.
I'm a big fan.
I'm going to shift a little bit to the tech world.
Yes.
Travel commerce is changing really fast. AI search, agentic shopping, all of it. How is Away thinking about discovery and how people will find you?
Okay, great question. And I spent a ton of time thinking and talking about that with my team. Why? Because, again, Away as an iconic DTC company got really, really good at search and understood the landscape extremely well early on how do you capture acquisition and early customer funnels in a world where it's DTC first, right? And so that means truly like the share of wallet from the Google to the Meta, the rise of Instagram along the way, the content that you need to produce there, and how you're building your funnel from upper to mid to lower, right? Now, that landscape is changing, and it's changing extremely fast. We see it in the data for us, although the Away search terms keep climbing year on year, which is super exciting. It's a lot harder to understand where people are clicking because they're clicking less to destinations that they used to click into because now you have AI summaries, you have chats coming into the middle, you have search that's happening on wholesale sites like Amazon or Nordstrom or social sites like TikTok that are becoming search engine recommendations in their own ways as well, right? And you know that better than anyone else. And so it's forcing us to truly rethink where we're allocating our dollars, how are we optimizing for content, copy, and creative, right? And it's a really interesting transformation. It's asking our teams to learn, I think, new skills, to lean into new competencies and understand a landscape that frankly is not done evolving. I don't think so. So we're spending a lot of time, I think, thinking through that and trying and testing new ways to sort of understand how the funnel is shaping out more and more.
Yeah. What's the last thing you asked AI?
Okay, so very random. My kids have been obsessed with tree houses these days. So we had this fun thing last night, actually, where they drew their dream tree house on paper. And then I went into Gemini to create that picture for them. And they were obsessed with the idea of seeing it come to life. So that's on the personal side of things. On the professional side of things, on Tuesday, we hosted a company-wide almost Claude training, and we built some agents for just training purposes. And it was incredible to see that out of every single function in the room that day, you could see like the lightning bulb go off into, like I know what I'm going to do next. So that was a really cool thing to see. What about you?
That's cool. I actually was just hearing a story about at Duolingo, how they now have a chess course on Duolingo.
Oh.
And the people like originally somebody had approached the CEO and said we should do chess, and he was like, no, chess is a game and we're about education. And then the non-engineers built the chess game, so cool. Brought it to him, like proved their point. Obviously, it then got really built by engineers so it could scale, but it is their fastest growing course on Duolingo.
Really? I have to check that out. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, which I thought was cool. But the last thing that I asked AI was, what was that salad dressing that I made a few months ago that my kids really liked? And it found it for it. Like went back through my search history and found.
Wait, what was it?
It's 4 ingredients. It was like it's soy sauce, rice vinegar, honey, and sesame oil.
Ooh, that sounds good.
Yeah, it was really good, and I poured it on top of the salad, and everybody ate it last night.
I love that. I love that. That's great.
Yeah, I know. Wrapping up a little bit, what's one thing about running away that surprised you that you wouldn't have known from the outside?
The continued cultural connection, the continued emotional connection between our customers and our brand. 10 years in, it feels like it's just starting, and yet it's so deep, it's intimate in many ways because, again, it carries all of those travel stories with them. So that's really, really special.
It's pretty amazing. I think it's like sometimes when you think about brands, it's like, oh, Away, like that luggage brand. Yeah. And then I listen to you talk about it, and it's pretty incredible that it is so much more than a luggage brand and how much it really does come with us in our lives. We've got some rapid fire travel.
Let's do it.
Window or aisle?
Window, because I don't move once I'm seated. I don't pace in the plane.
Again, we can travel together.
I'm
taking the aisle seat.
This is so great.
One thing that's always in your carry-on?
Always in my carry-on. Ooh, always in my carry-on. Okay, always in my carry-on. I always have an always ready dopp kit. My toiletry bag is already made. It's always the miniatures of the things that I like to use, and it's ready to go.
Best airport in the world?
Ooh, great question. Okay, the shopping at Charles de Gaulle is really good for duty-free. The entertainment in Singapore, once you have a long layover, is great. And then I think that the food in Dubai is actually quite good. So that would be my top 3.
Okay. Most underrated travel destination?
Ooh, okay. Good one as well. Underrated travel destination. Being in New York, I will never say no to just a good road trip in the Catskills. It's so close, so easy, such a welcome breath of fresh air, and I love it to go see the fall foliage.
Okay, and last one. Person you'd most want to sit next to on a long flight?
Okay, great question, because truly the answer is no one. And the reason is because when I am in the plane, I like to shut off, and I like to talk to no one. I like to be in a good book or a movie, and I really don't even like to open my computer on it. So I'm not a person who converses on airplanes. Do you have a favorite person?
It's the same as yours.
I love this. This is great.
So Jess, thank you so much for joining us.
Having me.
I mean, you and I, again, we've known each other for a very long time, and I've appreciated watching all the moves you've made and the places you've gone.
Likewise.
Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.